good if like, hey, God's calling me to do this and everything's good and there's no struggle in that. We're okay with that. But most of us are going to have struggles. And so I think as I think about training, that's probably something we need to just have down the road to be able to train leaders and help leaders. And how do we talk about that and building the culture of doing that? Today also, as I begin, school, my youngest is starting school, the other ones are done. But as we look to get rhythms back in place, I struggled last week with the rhythms for a couple of reasons. So I have another business on the side at the moment, and we'll see where it goes. I'm still wrestling through how to use it. But I had in the midst of the week and also a busy weekend coming off as we had some family coming up. So I knew that was coming. There's always prep, right, when family comes. But I had 2 meetings with clients, and I have because there's follow-up that happens. So I have 2 more meetings this week with clients. And it really busied the week. Like I was out 2 nights for that, plus the other 2 nights were for church and ministry. And so it's not bad, especially, to be honest, the last night that I was out, the gentleman that I met, we actually ended up going fishing. I love when you can combine things you love, like fishing and ministry. And so it was really good to be able to connect that way and get out on the water and rejuvenating for me as I walk through that. Hey, any fishermen out there? Love to hear where you're fishing and what you're learning in that area, as we also fish for people. But coming off, even trying to so there's work that has to be done after meeting with those clients, and actually struggling a bit in the rhythm of my life to get that done, and wondering, is that a good fit for the ministry style that we have and what we're doing? And I'm wrestling through that. If you've got any questions, you can ask about that. But I'd love to hear from those who are doing this full time or whatever time, and also running a business, because we got to make I understand you got to make a living, right? So some of you, the finances aren't coming through the church; they're coming through other places, or they're coming partly through the church and partly through somewhere else. And so I'm really wrestling with. I do have a blessing in this moment where my salary is from the church, but my wife and I sat down and realized how much cost of living has gone up, and we've had some financial changes. We're kind of realizing, like, hey, we got to make up this extra money. And for me, I go, we have the blessing of these 2 clients, and so working with that. But really, all of that to say is wrestling with the rhythms and the scheduling of all of that. I don't have that figured out. And what does that look like in the midst of making disciples? And I'm a firm believer that God will use business to open doors for the gospel and for the kingdom. And I think that's another area I'm still wrestling with. And what does that look like as I move down the road, and for my situation? What about you? What's this look like? And for those who are bivocational, and I think that's probably where many things are going to be going. How do you balance? And balance is actually the wrong word. What's the rhythm look like for you in the midst of that? I'd love to learn from you on that. So this week, I got a second week of hearing God in my sermon, working through that, I made a list, this last week of a bunch of men, I'm just looking for it, that I really believe that when I came here that God wanted me to do something with men. And so we started to do that last year, and I started some things there. Yeah, here we are. And so I wrote down, I'm not going to show all, out of respect for those guys, all the names, but I was just making sure I had it for accountability for myself. But I wrote down a bunch of names of some men to follow up to try to get a group going. And I think this is probably my next target this fall, is to try to get these meet twice a month. And it will be on my agenda today to send out and begin that conversation this week. But it's another full week. And it's sort of a short week because we had a holiday Monday, even though I did work a little bit. And I met with one of our missionaries who was in the area on leave. And that was great, trying to get to know them better and their story. So that's a bit of kind of my journey, right? The purpose of these videos is to record a bit of where I'm at. I hope you get something out of it as I yak through what I'm thinking through and what my experience is. And Some will probably be better than others, but my hope is to be able to just leave for myself and others lessons learned along the road to be able to help others. One of the things I'm excited, which we'll probably talk about next, is I have a meeting with E3 Partners who's going to help down the road with some stuff here, and I'll share more about that another time. But that's that's coming up. Go make disciples.